The first thing we have is new Primite cards that were announced yesterday. Looks like it's a new monster and a counter trap. Of course, Primite is an archetype that doesn't look too competitive right now. It seems like a fun concept because it's the ones that function with vanillas, which that's probably the worst possible thing to base your deck around when you're making a new archetype. Is like, hey, let's make one that works with vanillas because those are probably the worst cards you can put into a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. But here we are. The concept was still quite cool, so I honestly wouldn't be opposed to them getting some good cards. Primite, another barrel. Level 4 Earth Dragon effect monster, 1600 attack. Can only use the second and third effect once per turn. If this card is normal summoned, set a Primate spell trap from your deck. Okay, that's good. Tribute this card, send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard. During your standby phase, if you have a normal monster on your field or in your graveyard, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, solid card. Honestly, like, I mean, sending a normal monster from deck to graveyard is not going to be... I mean, you're not going to trigger any effects with that unless any of the other Primite cards require you to have vanillas in the graveyard. But, like, you do get a free spell trap on summon, so that's solid. And you have recursion from it because it'll get back to your hand every turn. And then we have Primite Resounding Reaction. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If your opponent would normal or special summon a monster and you control a normal monster and or a level 5 or higher Primite monster except the token, negate the summon, and if you do, banish that monster. During your standby phase, if you control a Primite monster, you can set this card from your graveyard but banish it when it leaves the field. Now, that's a powerful counter trap. That is a very, very powerful counter trap because you don't only negate the summon, you also banish the monster. So you're not even gonna like trigger any graveyards effects of it. You're not gonna even destroy it. You just like negate and banish. Hamud, thank you for the 28 months. Appreciate you. And you get 2 uses out of it in the long run, right? Because it does return during your standby phase. Both of these are not terrible cards. But I feel like that's about it. I feel like that's the theme with Primite, is like all of those cards are like fine. They're kind of cool. The concept is sounds fun, but nothing overly powerful, which I feel like is what it would need for the deck to be competitively viable. But like on a fun deck scale, fine support, you know. I don't think you're gonna be like competing with the likes of Snake Eye, Azamina, Bellboards or anything like that, but all right. All right. Next up, we've got new Flame Swordsman support, which this whole Metalmorph anime kind of archetype has kind of like gone over my head. I haven't experimented with these at all. I saw like a brief moment where people played some Flame Swordsman cards. I think, was it in Infernoble or something? But I think this is even a different archetype because this is for the Metalmorph archetype. When I saw this, I thought this was like Flame Swordsman support, but now that I'm looking at it, it seems to be Metalmorph archetype support, which is a deck that's also in Rage of the Abyss, I think. But I haven't seen anyone mess around with it yet, so... Metal Flame Swordsman, level 6 Fire Machine. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned with max Metalmorph that was activated by tributing a level 5 or higher warrior monster. All right, I remember. This was the archetype where you had max Metalmorph and it could summon different monsters depending on what you tributed, right? That's the one where like you have different monsters that you can tribute, and then depending on what you got rid of, you get a different boss monster, quote unquote. And they have that like the little mirror guy that you have the little mirror guy that can change type, right? So depending on what you want, you can change the type to it. Yeah. Oh, it is a machine monster. You're right. I just looked at it and I was like, yep, that's a warrior, but no, it's a machine. You can reveal this card in your hand. Add a card that mentions max Metalmorph from your deck to your hand, except Flame Metal Swordsman. If you do, shuffle this card into the deck. I think they all had this. I think all of the boss monsters had this effect where you can, if you draw them, you can put them back into your deck, kind of like an illusion of chaos kind of vibe, which is cool. Each time your opponent activates a card or effect, this card gains 300 attack, and if it does, inflict 500 damage to them. So, just like a, I mean, it is a Rhoda, right? So like the hand effect is quite good. And you're only going to summon this if it's close to time, I guess. Like, it's not a good effect on the field, but it's like a good searcher, right? So like, even if you never intend on summoning this card, it would still be a good card just for searching purposes. Similar to how, I don't know if anyone has ever managed to summon Illusion of Chaos. I mean, some Dark Magician duelists probably have, but like, let's be real. On a competitive level, I don't know if Illusion of Chaos has ever hit the board. It's only there to search a card and then go back into the deck, which is a fine purpose for a card. We have Flame Metalmorph. Normal trap card. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. It is a normal trap, not continuous. Tribute a face-up monster that mentions Max Metalmorph. Special summon a monster from your deck that cannot be normal summoned or set and mentions Max Metalmorph, ignoring its summoning conditions. Then you can equip this card to as an equip card with an effect. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. Okay, so this is basically just another copy of your Max Metalmorph, with a slight bonus to it, right? The trap is bad because it doesn't count as Max Metalmorph, unfortunately. I mean, but you do ignore the summoning conditions, right? So you can just turn any... You can turn any monster that mentions Max Metalmorph into any other one that mentions Max Metalmorph, ignoring the summoning conditions. So it's like fine, I guess. I'm gonna be honest with you, these cards seem fine to me. Nothing crazy, but another searcher has to be welcome, right? I don't know if this is what the deck needs to be more viable, but they surely don't hurt to have, especially the first one, which is just another searcher. Like, that definitely doesn't hurt a deck, but does it make it competitively viable? I doubt it. They all do that to shuffle. I remember reading some of them, and I think some of them do that. I wasn't sure if it's all of them, which, to be honest, is a pretty cool concept. I have to say, even if the deck hasn't been competitively viable, the idea of, hey, we're gonna make some boss monsters that you want to summon from your deck, but if you draw them, we all give them an effect that lets you do something and then put them back into the deck so they don't actually are bricks, is a pretty cool concept for consistency and all that. Like, it's pretty nice that these cards are like, hey, I want to be summoned from the deck, but if I'm drawn, I also do something. That's cool. So yeah. The others only search Metalmorph, not everything that mentions it. Okay, so this one is the best searcher, quote unquote, for the deck, because it searches any card that mentions Max Metalmorph. Good. I mean, like I said, these are definitely solid additions to the deck. Will they make it good enough? I kind of doubt it, but it's like maybe fun to mess around with.